cold wind swept through the auction yard, carrying dust and the smell of hay. And something else, something like quiet despair. Janet stood alone near the rails, fingers trembling around the last 300 she had. Rent was due. The fridge was nearly empty. But her eyes kept returning to the frail foal in the far corner, ribs sharp under matted coat, eyes hollow yet pleading like they still believed love might exist. The auctioneer's voice echoed, harsh as a cracked whip. No one bid. The foal shivered. Something inside Janet, tired, bruised by life, cracked open. She raised her hand. 300, she whispered, as if speaking too loud might break her courage. People stared. Some shook their heads. A foolish woman, they thought. But when the gavel fell, Janet felt warmth bloom beneath her ribs, a fragile spark of hope. She approached the foal slowly, palm open. He leaned into her touch with trembling trust, like he knew she was his last chance. Tears slipped down her cheek. "I've got you," she breathed. Maybe saving him would save her too. Rain hammered against the rusted roof that winter, each drop sounding like time running out. Janet moved through the dim barn with aching feet after a double shift, cafe apron still stained, fingers numb from cold. The world outside saw only a struggling mother, late on rent, skipping meals so her daughter could eat. But here, in the straw-lit quiet, she became something else, a guardian of fragile life. Apollo, once skin over bone, lifted his head when she entered. His eyes, soft and uncertain, followed her every movement. Janet warmed milk with trembling hands, whispering, "Not tonight, baby. You fight with me." He drank slowly, breath warm against her wrist. Every swallow was a victory purchased with exhaustion. Days blurred into nights. She walked to work because bus fare became feed money. Sold her coat for vet bills. Ate toast so Apollo could have grain. Celeste would read stories in the stall, her voice bright against the silence, and Apollo would lean closer, as if healing through sound. One morning, sunlight spilled across his coat like gold, fuller, healthier, alive. Janet pressed her forehead to his. Tears came, soft as spring rain. He was living, and so was she. There comes a moment when the world goes quiet, not silent, but expectant, as if it knows something extraordinary is about to begin. Janet felt it the day Apollo first stepped into the arena, no longer the weak colt she once bottle-fed, but a powerful, gleaming figure cut from light and muscle. Dust swirled in the late afternoon sun, painting golden halos around horse and rider. Cattle shifted. A gate clanged open. Apollo locked on like instinct awakening. He moved with a startling grace, low, sharp, reading every twitch of the herd. Left, right, stop. His hooves carved poetry into earth. Janet gripped the rail, breath trembling, heart pounding like it might break from pride. Vivian, a seasoned trainer with eyes that missed nothing, stood beside her. "That horse," he murmured, voice soft with awe, "was born for this." Training became ritual. Dawn rides, sweat shining like silver on Apollo's neck, commands answered before they were spoken. Then came the papers, the proof, a championship bloodline, royalty hidden beneath scars and struggle. Janet held the certificate and cried, not for wealth, but for destiny finally recognized. Janet often remembered the night she stood alone in the cold barn, rain tapping like restless fingers on the tin roof, wondering if life would ever be kinder. Bills were stacked like mountains, her future dim, and yet Apollo, once a lanky 300 colt, stood beside her with eyes that held galaxies of promise. She could have sold him, paid off a few debts, ended the struggle. But something inside whispered, not yet. One dawn, golden light spilled across the pasture as Apollo trotted beside her daughter Celeste, now tall, confident, hair catching sunlight like a ribbon of hope. The horse moved like a king reborn, every hoofbeat a reminder of how far they had come. Janet watched, chest tight, as Celeste guided him through patterns with grace only years of love could shape. A local breeder offered a small fortune. She declined, voice trembling. He's family. Instead, she built a breeding business around him. Foals filled the pastures, clients filled the ranch gates, and life, once fragile, began to bloom. Their small rented barn became a thriving ranch, laughter echoing where silence once lived. A single unwanted foal rewrote their destiny. Before we continue, tell us in the comments where you're watching from. And if this story touched you, don't forget to subscribe.